The experts say the interaction between parents and teenagers has more to do with the way the parents react than the teenager itself, the behavior of the teenager. And teenagers will do what they have to do, when they have to do it, and how they have to do it. That is a natural process that nothing can stop. And instead of supporting this natural process to become independent and self-reliant, parents work against it because they do not understand how the changes in a teenager's brain impacts their relationships and behavior. I first want to put teenagers in context. You know how nature makes sure that the strongest genes, say for instance the lions, survive. When the lion reaches a certain age, he needs to leave his pride and then mate with a lioness away from his habitat, away from his pride. And it's the same with humans. Nature makes sure that the strongest genes in humans survive by changing the teenager's brain so they start pulling away from the parents, they're developing their own identity, they develop their own identity, they're doing things their own way, and they get the extreme need to hang out with friends. And all of this prepares them to leave the house in a few years' time, to meet someone from another family, to get married, hopefully, and to have children. I am going to use Dr. Daniel Siegel, a very simple explanation of how the brain works. If this is your brain stem coming up here, your spine coming up here, and in the middle of your brain, you'll find your limbic system, your emotional brain. And in this emotional brain is your amygdala. Your amygdala is your alarm system of your body, your fight, flight, or freeze alarm system. And this is fully developed once the baby is born, when a baby is born. And you'll also find your hippocampus in the limbic system. And your hippocampus is where your memories are stored. Years ago, I was walking down our passage to our bedroom and I was kissing my Maltese poodle, and I missed the first step going down to our bedroom. And until the day that we've moved out of that house, every time I would get close to the steps, my brain would go, be careful, look down. So your limbic system is there to keep you safe at all costs. Okay, the outside of your brain, the backside, is how you perceive the outside world. On top is your thinking brain or your rational brain. And then right here in front on your forehead is where emotional connections happen. And we were created with pro-social brains that were made for emotional connection with other people. And our body's nervous system react on each other's bodies. So if a friend of mine stands in front of me and all of a sudden her eyes tear up, my body will respond to her body and my eyes will tear up too without me even knowing why she's sad. And it's the same with a smile and with a yawn. Oh, that was a real yawn. Okay, it's the same with a yawn. The last thing to develop around 25 to 30 years only is the prefrontal cortex, that's also called the CEO of your brain. And the CEO controls emotions and impulsivity. So I'm going to repeat it. Adults have a CEO in their brain that controls emotions and impulsivity that teenagers do not have yet. So what happens in your body when your alarm system goes off? Your amygdala pops, or in narrative we talk about flooding of the brain. Say that you're walking in a hiking trail and all of a sudden you see and you hear movement in the bushes beside you, and then your alarm system goes off. Your body releases adrenaline, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up. And all the blood is drained is pulled from your digestive system to your big muscles, to your arms and your legs. Why? So that you can fight or you can run fast. Your empathy is very low. Rational thinking is gone. You see why? Because the thinking brain has pulled away. You don't hear anything. But if there's someone talking to you, you don't hear them. And if there's a person in front of you, your brain sees it as the enemy that he must fight. And this is where the greatest damage between parents and teenagers' relationships happen. Is that when teenagers flip their lids for no reason at all, parents react and they flip their lid too. I am going to give an example now. So you're waiting for your 15-year-old daughter to come out of school and you see her laughing with her friends. And she gets into the car, but she's hungry, but you don't know it yet. Hungry is when a teenager is so hungry and so tired they are hungry. So your daughter gets into your car and you say, "Oh, Zoe, I've got a big surprise for you. Your father has bought us tickets for Imagine Dragons show on Friday, yes." And Zoe goes, "What? I don't want to go with you guys. I want to go with my friends." "Geez, Mom, thanks for asking me first." And what would a natural response be if you don't have idea what's happening in your teenager's brain? Listen here, you ungrateful, spoiled child. Do you know how expensive those tickets were? You know what? You will definitely not come with us on Friday. You're grounded for this weekend and for next weekend for yelling at me like this. Do you think that Zoe would want to have a friendly conversation with her mother that evening? Definitely not, because besides the fact that she doesn't know why she screamed at her mother like that, she feels so ashamed. Because here is the thing about the amygdala. It does not discern between the real dangers and false dangers. Emotions like being angry, anxiety, shame, guilt, hormones, they will all make this amygdala pop, and high school is very stressful. Your teenager's brain will pop a lot. And please, parents, when your teenager flip their lid and they scream at you, it is not out of disrespect. In that moment, their brain is like a 2-year-old that's throwing a tantrum. In that moment, his brain cannot do anything else. So what must you do when your teenager flip their lids for no apparent reason at all? You must say, "This is not about me," and zip my lips. Why? Because you've got a CEO in your brain that can control emotions and impulsivity. So you say, "This is not about me," and you zip your lips. And part of becoming independent is to start controlling their emotions. But it will not be at 13, 14, 15. At 16 it gets a tiny little better. That's why I call them sweet 16. And the way the child learns to control their emotions is by you, they're mirroring your reaction when they flip their lids. If you stay calm, they will mirror your calmness. So the one question I get asked a lot is, so you saying that my teenager can just flip their lid and yell and swear at me? You know what? Yes, in that moment. Because their brain cannot do anything else there. You zip your lips, and if you flip your lid as well, your teenager's brain will tell him you are the enemy, he must fight you. So you must zip your lips and you walk away. And then when you have a friendly connection with your child again, you're sitting in a car and you're driving somewhere, or you're walking with your dog, and not eye-to-eye contact, you can say to your child, "Listen here, you hurt my feelings when you yelled at me like this afternoon." And you know what? If you create space, a safe space for your teenagers to flip their lids, they will learn, because you must remember, a parent, especially a mother, is a safe place for your teenager. And it's a compliment when your child flip their lids, or when your teenager flip their lids. Because they feel that's the only place where they can go like this and they can flip their lids. But please don't go into a teenager's room to have a serious eye-to-eye conversation, because they will flip their lids and they will see you as the enemy and they will fight you. Because you see, a teenager's bedroom is a very sacred space for them. It's the only place where they have a little bit of control what is happening there. So what must you do when you flip your lid or when your brain is flooded? I hate a dentist. So when I'm in a dentist chair, my brain is flooded the whole time. I've got adrenaline pumping and my heart rate is up, my blood pressure is high. So what I do is, you see a square box in front of you. So you inhale one side, and then you keep it in for one side, then you exhale for two sides. Why is it important to exhale slow and longer? Because by exhaling slower and longer, it brings your heart rate down, so your adrenaline levels go down, and your amygdala will realize this is not a life and death situation, and it will go safely back into its resting place. Please show this video to your teenager, because if you can understand what's happening in your brain, you can understand other people's reactions. So whenever someone is screaming at you or yelling at you, my children immediately recognize, oh, that person's amygdala has popped. In our house, yes, they say in, property, it's location. Well, with teenagers, it's humor. In my house, my teenagers are allowed to say to me, oh, Mom, your amygdala has really popped now. So please create a safe space. And I've got a 17 and an 18-year-old teenagers. And my daughter, that's 18, she always said, Mom, thank you so much that you've created a safe space in our house where we could flip our lids without you reacting every time. So what's the most important thing for you as parent to remember? Is to say, this is not about me, and you zip my lips. Where you choose relationship above reaction every time. And this is what this is not about me looks like.